Buju, wago shindagu migizi indodem, gazaga squaji mekag, indun jaba. I recently read In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Close Encounters with Addiction by Gabor Maté. And I have to say that Gabor Maté is probably my favorite addiction author and podcaster speaking to these issues. I think his humanity is evident in all of his work, and I think his insights are really novel and helpful. Gabor Mate himself was a Holocaust survivor, wrangling his own traumas and addictions, even though they're not on the scale of some of the folks that he has been trying to help, are wrangling the worst kinds of substance abuse addictions that humans have ever known. That I found his willingness to be introspective and talk about what trips him up, that healing is not an end position that somebody ends up at, but it is a practice. I thought was very helpful. And with the numerous studies and examples, I think he provides a very relatable way for all of us to see ourselves in the issues. For example, even when he's talking about somebody who is just being so angry and, you know, basically saying like Nazi stuff to him as a Holocaust survivor, that he could provide tools for understanding and metabolizing that and then actually getting through and truly helping the person. I think that was really pretty remarkable. Some of the takeaways that I found especially helpful: a lot of times when somebody is struggling with addiction and things like that, we think that they have a problem, they need to fix it, and the opposite of addiction is going to be sobriety, and then they're going to be better. And Gabor Mate says that's really an old-fashioned and erroneous way to think about it, that in fact, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but connection. And to help somebody heal, how do we help them find healthy connection? To be connected to other humans, imperfect though we all are, who are trying to lead a healthy life, to be connected to healthy practices and living. And furthermore, that when people are in addiction, that they actually have, their injured, wounded inner child, or from wherever the addiction came from, or wherever the injury, the trauma came from, that all addicts are dealing with trauma. Usually their own lived trauma experience. Sometimes it is just powerful epigenetic trauma imprints, and even probably more often it is both. But what happens when someone is, especially as a child, dealing with a trauma, and they cannot exercise their fight response because they're so small, and they cannot exercise their flight response because they're too young to run away from it all, that they run away internally, and really the addictive behaviors are really symptoms of a bigger issue, where someone who has experienced trauma is desperately seeking safety. And for a child who couldn't fight or flight but had to numb out or have an out-of-body experience, addiction soothes that sense of fear. And so addicts, he says, are looking for safety. And safety, he says, and this is really critical, safety is not the absence of threat. Safety is the presence of healthy connection. And I thought this is really, really helpful. For myself personally, my father was a survivor of the Nazi Holocaust. My mother was indigenous, Ojibwe from Leech Lake. My grandmother went to residential boarding school. We got plenty of trauma, both sides of my family. I'm doing okay. But I do notice that I have a tendency towards emotional reactivity or spacing out, zoning out, and disengaging. And so sometimes when I'm just feeling agitated, anxious, or reactive, you know, and I will soothe myself, could be social media, scrolling TikTok, whatever, or just being a complete workaholic. That what I'm doing is I'm soothing this fear or feeling of unsafe, of not being safe. And so with self-awareness, then I can connect with my wife or my children or my spiritual practice and ceremonies and my ceremony people and get re-grounded, and it mitigates the pull towards those things, and I can drop the work for a little while and be in a healthier space or frame of mind and reduce my anxiety. So anyways, I thought the Gabor Maté work was practical, helpful, even beautiful at times. And he has a whole corpus of work. This is one of many, many books, and I have not read all of his works, but you can find him on YouTube and TikTok and other places in shorts that kind of speak to some of these issues. But I did find the Hunting for Hungry Ghosts book to be really transformative for me, and I'd recommend it. Thanks for watching today. I'm Anton Treuer. Let's keep in touch. I'm active on social media, and my website has lots of information on my books, speaking engagements, resources for the Ojibwe language, teachers, and more. Miigwech.